Hey guys, episode 50, the big 50, and it's March 20, March 20th, Sunday. Quick update how we're doing. Location is still St. Petersburg, Florida in the Harborage Marina. Beautiful place, no complaints at all. And this is what I've been working on. So primarily it's the galley, okay? In the galley, you've seen the before pictures. That used to be two reach down, top loading refrigerator freezer compartments. Freezer, I think, being the close one and the fridge being the other one. I really don't know which was which. The cold plate was over here. I decided that I'm going to buy a normal upright refrigerator that you can buy at Walmart or Best Buy and stick it here. And I have one ordered. It's on Amazon. It's on the way. And I cut the hole for that. And on the bottom I built a platform, and the video in the episode will show how I did that. And I just finished sanding the top of this fiberglass sheet. It is not Formica on plywood. This looks like it is, but it's not. That's just a very thin strip, about 2 inches wide. So I'm going to have to make a fiberglass repair to finish this. On Tuesday I'll get my plywood, and I'll put a plywood sheet here and cover it with fiberglass, feather the ends, and you can see I'm getting started with the cracks. And then that should wrap up pretty good. And when I'm ready for the final coat of, it'll be a gel coat type repair, maybe terrazzo if I can find it. But when I'm ready for the final gel coat, then I'm going to rough up this surface too, have the sink removed, have the faucets removed, and do this surface as well. That'll be a big damned day when I get that project done. I'll buy a new faucet that doesn't leak, and I'll put the same sink back with new sink traps. The sink traps are horrid, and I'll get new ones. By that time, I'll be almost ready to go in the boatyard and get that overboard valve down there removed physically and glassed over, and we'll be putting in a shower sump pump. So, again, this is one take. I've also received, thanks to my friends Kaylee and Ron with his wife Connie, the boat is a mess, and that means I've got my composting toilet. I have the new stove, not hooked up yet, okay, and I have a number of boxes from Hydrovane. So Hydrovane is the self-steering system I'm going to have, and all of those boxes are now on the boat. So in the forward compartment, it is just a mess. That's the new composting head under the cardboard. I've got my new shower sump pumps ready to go in, the new sink traps, and another composting head set of components which I may not use. And of course, lots of dirty laundry. So today I'm just going to make a quick little fiberglass repair here. And I finished because I had to cut this. This is the piece that had been on the other end, and I slid it down to fit, and I just have a crack I need to make up, and I'm going to get that fiberglassing done. I'm going to put an epoxy coating on my brass handle so that it stays pretty for a long time. Then I'll epoxy that. I was thinking of varnish. Still thinking. Make that decision in a few minutes. And that's that. Top side, I did some stuff to get one sail out. You see another one folded up, laying on the deck up there. So that sail is the Genoa. The Genoa is down. The old halyard is down. I bought new material. These are my new halyards. That's I think 150 foot of 7/16 double braid. This is I think 70 feet of 1/2 inch double braid. That's to be the new Genoa sheet, and I have the green one coming for the starboard side on Tuesday. So I guess it won't be one take after all. Whew. Yeah, so with that, I'll roll in to show you some footage of other things I've been up to here in St. Pete. Life is good. I am thankful every freaking day, and let's roll on to the episode. So the wire rope is called a stay or a shroud, and its job is to hold the mast from falling over backwards. And so what people do to be clever, and it is pretty clever, we installed these aluminum tubes with the wheel at the bottom over the wire rope. And then you have these little tracks in it, and there's a small bead on the front edge of the sail, and it goes in the track. And as you can see, there's two of them. So you could even, I guess, install two. I'm not one of those racers who's changing sails willy-nilly. I'm a cruiser, so right now I just got to get it down because the wind's kicking up. But so I'm going to pull this thing out like that, and that's how you get the sail out. And then you have a one thing I'll point out is that neither one of these shackles has seizing wire to hold the pins in place, and don't know about this one, but this one I could turn by hand. It was loose enough that I didn't need to go get pliers. That's like yikes, baby, yikes. So we need to kind of overhaul the whole mess, I think, get it all done right. But I think I can do it all myself. As long as I can feed the new halyard through the mast, that's what I'm worried about. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. After getting the Genoa down, I folded her up as best I could and threw it into the cart and hauled it off. And I did the same with another sail that had been in a bag. Now this one is what I would call a jib. It had been in a bag on the boat since I've owned the boat, and I never had taken it out to see exactly what I had. So this is also a sail that's going on the roller furler. You see there's no hanks on the sail. So this one here is a lot smaller than the Genoa, and I'll call this my jib because it's smaller, and it's in very, very good condition. Yeah, okay, so this is a hank. And a hank is attached through a hole in the sail right here. This goes through, and then you close that down. And then you take this and you snap it around the wire rope. So this wire rope here on the front, that's where the staysail goes. And it's a shroud, or the standing rigging is a wire rope. And then so the sail that goes here has to attach by hanks. The sail that goes here has to attach on the roller furler. So I have two sails that can go on the furler, one big, one small. And I do not have a staysail right now, and I do not have a mainsail right now. Okay, so one thing that's always true, and I think all sailors know it, is that managing these sails is actually quite awkward. They're huge, and these sails are very big, and this is a small one I'm working on now. This is the jib. And you get to appreciate the opportunity to have a big, flat, grassy surface to lay out your sails, and I have that here. So that's why I took the opportunity to shake out all the sails that are on the boat, make sure I know what they are, and where they need to go, and if they're serviceable. That looks suspicious. But this sail is perfectly serviceable. And that's not stitching, that's threads from the fabric itself. I'm not going to tug at it. I'll cut those off. Of course, I didn't bring a knife or scissors. This, I think, is just glue that was spilled on here. So, I don't know what the hell that is. It looks like probably, they store these things any old place and throwing a can of paint on top of it or whatever this stuff was. The sail itself is a little dirty, but actually I'm very pleased with it. Yeah. Okay, these sails are heavy and they're bulky. This is a jib going back on the boat, and a Genoa is twice as big. Sometimes I wonder, at some point am I just going to get too old for this? And I don't know. So I like to take walks around the marina and see what else there is to see. And this time of year, you see a lot of manatee. And so there's a bunch of manatee that pretty much live here 24/7. Taking a risk then.
Yeah, you'd have to get down below St. Luke's.
Agree.
Oh, there's manatee in there?
Yeah. Sound asleep. Back to the galley and my nemesis, the refrigerator. You can see with the uneven bottom that it's impossible to store bottles upright in there, and if you did store them, they would soon be buried by a mountain of other things on top of them. So the problem with these fridges is access. And they're huge and they can keep a lot of things cold, but it's very difficult to use. And, I would say that the biggest problem, you see me measuring here, is that just too damn big. Nobody, I think, needs this much refrigerated or freezer space. So here's what I'm gonna do. Basically, this bulkhead is gonna remain, and I'm gonna heavily insulate it on the inboard side. This side is gonna be retained exactly as it is to be a future freezer if needed. This side is gonna be completely removed and demobilized. I'll make a cut. I'm going to reach in here with my multi-tool and make a cut vertically right around there, about 1 inch in from that little border. And then I'm going to put a couple layers of the hard foam insulation. I'm going to physically remove all of this stuff, including the drain and all that junk in the bottom. And then I'm going to cut a hole, and I'm going to cut a hole right here where the screens are being stored. I mean, obviously, these are screens for the windows that aren't open right now. And obviously they'll have to get stored someplace else. But we'll cut an opening that'll fit a standard apartment/dormitory size refrigerator. And then I'm gonna cut apart this Formica and this plastic top such that I have a solid countertop. There doesn't need to be a plug here anymore. This lift out plug will be retained. And so the boat turned into a work job for a few days. I used my angle grinder and my multi-tool, each of them, different times, to cut all this fiberglass. So it's basically just grinding fiberglass that's approximately 1/4 inch thick. And you can see I cut it so I could retain that end piece, which I slid down. And that actually worked pretty good. So getting them out wasn't hard. The only thing is you make a big mess. And this that old foamy stuff that you see, and I'm wearing filter mask, of course, and I got covering on my head, but that old foam, that dust gets everywhere. It's as bad as grinding fiberglass. It was just an awful job, and I really don't care for that kind of work. But so you can see what I did. And I built a new hatch, a single hatch, not a double. And actually it turned out pretty darn good. And that's why I cut it the way I did. Okay, just cut this piece off. Of course, because I'm an Einstein, I was talking while wearing the filter mask, and you can't hear what I'm saying, but my comment is that the thickness of my refrigerator was thicker than the hull on most modern sailboats, and that is a fact. But this piece of fiberglass, actually, oh my God. Ugh. Pretty stormy out there. Yes, where to put this shit? Too dirty. Don't like dirty stuff. I just picked up the bottom piece of this old sink, and there's a drain, of course. Some of these boat fridges have sink drains. That hose led directly to the bilge, but the first thing I noticed is, what's the worrisome part, is water. That's water down there. And holy shit, that... Okay, that's quick today. this is what we're going to put down there. It's all angled at the bottom to fit the curvature of the hull and end up flat on top. So we'll set that aside and mix up the epoxy. If this music is offensive, I'm sorry. This is a 5-to-1 epoxy. And one thing I've learned along the way, that acetone, wipe the top of the bottle. It helps you get the cap off next time. And that's a lot thicker than what I'm accustomed to. It's like thick molasses. And I don't want it to form. I don't want it to be up against. Okay, I'm gonna get the cup and the brush out of the way here. We gotta position this a little more before the glue sets up. Okay, so the cup. This is pretty much. So this stuff here is garbage now. There's nothing else you can do with that. So I get that out of the way. And I figure out what can I do to help position, because it's still sliding around. Be doing some pre-work while that is curing. Remember, epoxy does not dry, it cures. So I like it, and that epoxy is better than the West Marine stuff. Thicker, I like it thicker. So that will allow me to build a foundation for the shelf on which the refrigerator goes. Perfecto! And that'll make a nice level shelf at the elevation of the black line. Once you get a level surface to build on, it's just a tinker toy exercise of building a shelf support system. But before I assembled it, I soaked the wood with the sealer, and I soaked it for 2 days, a lot of it. The reason is because this is cedros wood, which I got from Rudolph on his old boat down in Cancun. And it's a great wood, it's easy to work with, I like it, but it's very attractive to those turtle worms that would just eat ships alive back in the old days. Those worms eat wood like I eat Oreos, so I soaked them in sealer, and then I assembled it. Well, that's the update, guys. So at a high level, as a summary, new sails on the way. I've got a new mainsail and a new staysail, both being manufactured as we speak. They should be done in about 3 to 4 weeks. Then we'll put them on the boat. On Tuesday of next week, I'm going down to Sarasota with my friend Kaylee, and she'll give me a lift. And we're going to buy a used mainsail that will fit this boat. It's not exactly the right size and shape, but it'll work. I'm still working on getting a used staysail somehow, because I'd love to have one. And as you saw in the episode, I have a backup jib, which is smaller than the Genoa, but it would work. Kind of, it's bigger than the staysail, but smaller than the Genoa. So I've got some options. Once I leave the dock, I'll have options in the sail department, and I feel a lot better about that. Yeah, so this coming week on Tuesday, I'll receive the gimbals for the new stove, and we'll install that. And then I'll go out and find all the pieces and parts I need to get a functioning propane system, and I'll finally have a proper stove. On Tuesday also, the new fridge is going to be delivered with the inverter that I'm going to use to run the fridge. So by the end of next week, I ought to have a brand new fridge, running and up and running, and the old one will be on Craigslist to get sold. And the stove will be up and running, and I can finally cook myself some proper meals and try making a pizza on board, which is the main goal. And the countertops, probably not done next week, but they'll be close. I need to go buy the kitchen faucet, and I need to get a foot pump and a spout for that. So I think that's probably a week and a half, 2 weeks away. But schedule-wise, I think it's working out. By the end of next week, I should find out from the boatyard if he can take me the subsequent week, and I think he can. And we'll abandon that whole fitting. So if I can get the galley almost done, by next week. Then we'll go into the boatyard for a few days, get that work done, come back, install the gray water system, finish the counter, and phew, we're done with the galley. Oh, what a relief that'll be. And at that point, I might start tackling the DC electric system. I'm honestly just not sure exactly what would be next. Probably the toilet in the head. Probably I'd go after the toilet in the head next, because that involves more fiberglass work, which I'm getting better at. Well, we'll find out. So that's it. I appreciate you watching. Have a great one. Take care.